Okay, consultant check. So open Render and go to consultant. The consultant is one of the roles that requires a password. This is encountered only at the first opening of this role, so have the consultant agree and submit. Okay, consultant check. Before we go in, it's good to have an external monitor for the consultant. Render hogs the laptop screen, and it's difficult to share it with other programs like Paratext or Translators Workplace. So it's good to have an external monitor for the consultant during the project launching workshop so that they can have Render open on the laptop and their exegetical resources open on the external screen. Also, if the consultant has had no experience with Render, now is your opportunity to train them. So make sure to talk about the basic design features of colors and icons. Okay, so let's enter the consultant role. So we have set 9. The yellow dot indicates it's ready for review. So we click on it and hit review. Okay, again, follow the yellow brick road. There's yellow items on the left and on the right. The left side has the translation into the target language. Here in the training project, it's identified as French. And the breath pause and retell back translates are here as well. On the right side are notes. And so we can see that one note in the breath pause back translate has been made. So we'll have to listen to that. So let's start by listening to the default item, which is the breath pause back translate. Here we go. Percayalah kepada Tuhan dengan sepenuh heart. Note to translator, consultant. Note to consultant. They use the word heart, but I have no idea what that means or how to translate it. End note. Bukan kepada kefahamanmu sendiri. Dengan segala kelakuan Anda, pandang kepada dia, dan dia akan meluruskan jalanmu. Okay, we still have yellow in this box, so we can listen to the retell back translate next. Percaya kepada Tuhan sepenuh hatimu dan bukan kepada Anda diri sendiri. Nampak kepada dia selalu dan dia akan meluruskan jalanmu. You can hear some of the difference between the retell and the breath pause back translates. The retell is where the back translator will retell the entire passage all in one go after listening to the translation many times. The breath pause, the back translator is only working with a small piece at a time, and so he can give a much more word for word literal back translation. Render identifies where the speaker of the translation took a breath and cuts the recording at that point. And it presents to the back translator only each little piece between the breath pauses. On the right, we have a note to listen to, so let's listen. Dear Mr. Consultant, the translation uses the word heart, but I have no idea what that word means. Just so you know. So I tried to translate that, but I'm not sure what it means. You'll notice that's the same note that you heard earlier on the breath pause back translate. I wanted to give you an example of these two different ways for a back translator to make a note. On the right, it's using the note recording tool. The problem is that that note then has no identified location in the translation unless the back translator specifies where his comment relates to. Whereas on the left, if the back translator makes his note right there where he's making the back translation and has a problem, then it's clear to the consultant what part of the translation is involved in the note. So it's my personal preference to train back translators to make their notes here in line with the back translation. Okay, all the yellow's gone, so the bottom recorder has become active, and so the consultant can make their notes. I'm not going to make any relevant notes to this. I want to just show you how the recorder works. So we'll make note number 1. Note number 1 from the consultant to the translation team. Okay. Now we'll make note number 2. Note number 2 to the translation team. And one more. We'll make a third note. Note number 3. Now notice if I click on one of these notes, I'll get a small arrow that allows me to move this note to the right. So let me click that. And so now that note has appeared here in the middle. So I'll play that. Note number 1 from the consultant to the translation team. All right, and likewise, now it gives me an arrow at the bottom pointing the other direction, so I could move it to the left if I wanted. So in this way, the consultant can make all the notes they want and then put them in an order matching the translation, the comment relating to the first part and then the next part and so forth. And so this is how the recorder for the consultant works. Once they've finished their comments, they simply have to hit the submit button and they're finished. Okay, some comments about this. As the consultant makes a note relevant to part of the translation, it's good for the consultant to specify. For example, with regard to the word heart, they should say, in the translation where you mentioned with all your heart, that way the team can know what part of the translation the comment relates to. Also, there are times when the consultant may want the translation team to ask a question of a member of the community who is not familiar with the translation. And so the consultant can say, please go speak to someone in the community and ask them this question. And so that's something that the translation teams will have to deal with. Let me go back into the section here and show you that up on the up on the right is a headset. And this is where the consultant has access to the references, the primary, secondary, and whatever other references that are loaded into the render project. And so that's important because they'll need to refer to these when they're determining the accuracy of the translation. So that's an important point to show the consultant when you're training them. Okay. Also, I should have shown you that the consultant can play the translation itself, and that's always helpful to determine issues of performance and prosody, and so the translation itself can be played. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and not in your own understanding. In everything you do, look to Him, and He will make your path straight. Okay, just wanted to show you those features. You can see how the consultant can go back into that set and see their own comments. Note number 1 from the consultant to the translation team. Note number 2 to the translation team. Note number 3. All right, and I'm just going to close out, and that concludes our look at the consultant check.